Welcome to this tutorial about logging mutually exclusive codes with Interact. In this tutorial, we presume that you know how to start with the definition of observation codes in Interact, as explained in the first tutorial about logging events with Interact. We'll continue with the codes as defined in that tutorial for logging the gaze direction of a patient during a therapy session. Those codes allow us to log overlapping events, which usually does not make sense when logging gaze directions. That is why this is a good example of mutually exclusive codes. Making codes mutually exclusive is easy. All it takes is the same exclusion list name in the XCore column. This sounds harder than it is because this exclusion list name can be something as simple as a 1. So entering a 1 in the XCore column for each of those codes makes them all mutually exclusive. You can even use multiple exclusion lists in one code definition file if needed. When using mutually exclusive codes, it is important to have a code for every situation. So we'll add 1 or 2 more codes to cover those as well. In this example, we'll add the codes eyes closed and not visible to cover situations where the subject turns their head away from the camera or closes both eyes. Feel free to use something like not applicable instead, depending on your setup. Let's save the changes and take a look at the effect they have. Open your recording and position the multimedia window to your liking, which may be on another monitor. Before we start, verify that the coding mode is set to standard. We won't get into the additional coding modes in this tutorial, but if needed, you can switch between coding modes in the Observation Settings dialog. When all is well, click the green Start Observation button to get started. Skip the upcoming dialog by clicking Not Now. We will discuss the file referencing possibilities in another tutorial. After that, the coding panel appears, listing our predefined codes and classes. Navigate to the start of the session. In this example, we start from the beginning. Activate the code that matches the situation at the start of the session. This creates a new event line that holds the start time and the current code, which is also highlighted in the coding panel, indicating that there is an open event with that code. Maybe undock the video controls and slow down the play speed with those little arrows before we hit play to start our observations. Pause the video when the activity changes, in this case, when the gaze of the patient shifts. Adjust the position of the recording for more accuracy. Now, instead of clicking the current code to close the current event, like we did in the previous tutorial, click the code that matches the new situation. Clicking on another code not only creates a new event line, but also closes the previous event. The automatically inserted end time lays 1 frame before the start time of the new event. That is the whole idea of logging mutually exclusive events. Instead of logging start and end time separately, you only need to log the start of the new situation. This saves us 1 click per event and thus makes coding faster. So even though we added 2 more codes to the code definition file, coding itself becomes easier. To continue, hit play again and pause at the next change. Fine-tune the video position if need be and click on the code that describes the new situation, and so on. Click Stop to properly end the observation session. This way of coding generates a gapless string of events, so-called exhaustive events, which is an advantage for several statistical routines. For this reason, we generally recommend using mutually exclusive codes whenever possible, at least if the codes of interest are expected to cover most of the recording. However, if the codes you are interested in occur only occasionally and are unlikely to form a continuous string of events, it is better to simply log these incidental events as they occur, leaving gaps in between. For this, let's look at a demo file with gaps between events. As you can see, there is a time gap between the end time of one event and the start time of the next event. If you want to make such events mutually exclusive, simply run the command add missing codes, make exhaustive, available on the Transform tab under Optimize. Further details about this command are available in the Interact documentation. See the link below. One more thing, it is possible to combine overlapping and mutually exclusive codes in one pass, but because of the different coding rhythms, the chance of making a mistake is likely. Combining both types works well for random occurrences of a few parallel activities that occur independently of the mutually exclusive string of events, or for adding independent codes without duration. In this example, Logging eye blinks without duration independent of the gaze direction could be done like that. Now you know that logging and creating mutually exclusive events with Interact is a piece of cake. Other tutorials will cover the use of a hierarchical coding system and how to make the most of the various multimedia controls and customizing their shortcuts. We are happy to speed up your research, so watch our other videos to learn more.